What's up, everybody? It's Root Beer. I just got finished up with my rounds in Springfest, so I went 2 and 3 and decided to drop because I was getting a bit tired and, wasn't really much going after going X3, so actually got to see, like, a good variety of decks. I was pleasantly surprised because the deck registration was like half Bastions, and then a smattering of every other deck. So the fact that I actually got to play a good variety of different decks was pretty nice. Got to have a good time with that. So thought I'd go through all of the rounds, kind of talk about how each game went, and then go with my observations on what I felt my list was like. So in the first round, I played against Orphist, and I had lost. So I had a bad opening hand that one. It was all just grade 1s and triggers. So I could just never really build up the momentum, and then once they started going into their big turns with all the shadow armies, I just didn't have enough cards to guard it, so kind of had to try and gamble on a no guard at 4 damage and got crit, so, that's that. And then I also just never found Hexa Orbs that game, so just couldn't get any momentum going. Second round, I played against Zorga and Juan because I sacked like a god. I think I got crits, like, every turn, and then every turn also I, like, top-decked my copies of Hexa Orb so I could just keep Persona riding off the top. And so that was just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I did get the overtrigger on my first grade 1 ride, which I did call a rearguard column. So I was able to take some advantage of that, but yeah, that game was just ridiculous with the trigger luck. Like, crits every turn, I think. On a turn where it was kind of risky, I managed to get a heal, and so I was able to keep myself alive, and yeah. And just top-decking those Persona rides, so I totally outskilled that Zorga player. And then round 3 was a mirror match against a different Hexa Orb deck, so that one was another bad opening. I had a lot of grade 3s in hand, and, that's something I'll get to when I go into the deck breakdown, but, my opponent opened with a pretty strong opening board. They were able to rush me down early, and I was stuck with a lot of grade 3s in hand, so I couldn't really guard any of those early attacks. I couldn't call anything to try and swing back. He didn't manage to get any Persona rides going, so it was kind of a case of, like, the same with the Orphist, where I just kind of had to gamble on taking the hit, and then I lost that gamble, so, it is what it is. I think on Twitter I had said that I had gotten outskilled, but legitimately I think that deck was probably just better built than mine, which, again, we'll get into once I'm done going through all 5 rounds that I played. So, round 4 was against Bruce. That was a very short round because I triple triggered on my first Persona ride, so they just went from 3 to 6 immediately. And it was like crit over trigger. I'm pretty sure that was like, even if they healed, there wasn't much chance they were going to win that one. So that one was just absolutely ridiculous. Like, easy game. And then, last round that I did, I had played against Eugene, which I think there was one of the 2 Eugene players there, and he was kind of a meme in the Discord server, so that was fun. And yeah, he outskilled me. He hit me with a 4 crit attack, which I didn't lose off of that, but the game was basically over at that point, so yeah, I got outskilled there. So, as for my observations on the list itself, I think Painkiller Angel is kind of the MVP. I really underestimated her when she was first revealed, because I was like, I don't know that I want to be, like, paying all this soul and getting rid of my rear guards constantly, but, she replaces herself, so technically a net 0, and then it's good for just calling a quick, easy column, getting her out of the way, and potentially digging for those Hexa Orb duplicates, so when I first put Painkiller in the deck, I figured I would be doing it pretty reluctantly, but she actually turned out to be very helpful. And then, too many grade 3s. Like, that was a big problem with my list, was just Alden was a complete dead card most of the time. Like, whenever I saw him in my hand, I was having to weigh it against, like, Hexa Orb's cost, having to use Lepisto. And so, you know, a lot of the time, Alden was just discard fodder, and there were several situations where I was like, you know, would have just been nice to have that extra 5k shield for a lower grade unit. So I think first change I'm going to be making to the deck is going to be subtracting these Aldens. And then, honestly, like, even then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 grade 3s is still, like, quite a lot, you know? I'm not 100% sure what I want to replace Alden with yet. As for my other grade 3s, you know, Fasado showed up a lot simply because I have 4 copies of him, and, you know, he did come in handy sometimes. This deck definitely needs the resource gain. Lepisto is kind of your win con, so, of course, gotta have her around. Wondering if maybe I should try to cut myself down to 9 grade 3s simply for that shield value. Like, bricking on an opening hand with just a bunch of grade 3s is always really hard to deal with. So, you know. Well, that takes care of kind of the grade 3 lineup. Hexa Orb is Hexa Orb, you kind of have to play her. Pentagleam. Like, Pentagleam's fine. Like, being able to scry your top card is always going to be helpful for just trying to stack your deck properly and make decisions on your plays. So, if I remove my 3 Aldens, like, I might go for more grade 2s, but I'm not 100% sure what I would do just yet. Like, I've considered maybe running Rooks because, again, I would still have, you know, 7 grade 3 rear guards to play with, and this would basically be my front row most of the time, so I think could make Rooks work. I have to double check. Where is my box? Gotta double check how many that Rooks needs. Only 3, so yeah, as long as I maintain front row of grade 3s, which is very possible with just these cards, I think Rooks might be a worthwhile addition to the deck, just because, you know, he's a bit of extra shield, and he's also a very strong booster to make solid columns with. So, that's something I might experiment with in the future, is maybe having some copies of Rooks. Trigger lineup, I was pretty happy with that. Like, I think having 8 crits... Like, I was playing against a Hexa Orb player in the mirror match, and he ran rainbow triggers, but personally, I prefer the 8 crits. I think the games where I did win, those extra criticals definitely showed up. So, I think trigger lineup is going to stay the same. Gonna experiment with replacing them. I didn't use Tartine as much as I want to, and, you know, perfect guards are staying the same, so I'm gonna slowly sweep these up as I kind of go along. Tartines I just never really use that much. I think because I have to rest her, I always kind of got into this mental block of like, well, if I just throw her down and I don't use her skill, it feels like a waste, but then, you know, at the same time, I feel like maybe I lost out on a bit of offense because I never put her down on the board. So, not sure about her. I think she's gonna stay in the deck for now, simply because there's nothing else I can really run in her place. I think once the set once set 2 comes out, then I'm gonna start having more room to adjust my deck list. Painkiller Angel, like I said earlier, MVP for those early rushes. Really like having her around. Definitely underestimated this card first time around, so keeping her. And then I ended up never really using Fasciata that much. There were definitely times where I wanted to use the counter charge, but I just kept finding myself out of soul because Hexa Orb Soul Blasts, Tartine Soul Blast, although I didn't use her very much, and especially Painkiller Soul Blast, so I don't know. Even though I need the counter blast from Fasciata, I feel like the soul cost is just a bit too high, and I can't really afford it. So, again, this is one where I don't know what I would replace her with if I were to take her out of the deck. Probably just, one more copy of Tier Square, and then maybe another grade 2. So, that is something I am considering. Just cutting out this card completely just because I don't use it very often. And yeah. Tier Square, I actually misplayed with it once. I bottom decked a back row, even though her skill is front row only, although I don't think that ultimately had a huge impact on the game's turnout because, again, that was the game against Bruce where double crit and an over trigger. I think the game was always going to end there no matter what they did. So, there was a minor little misplay there, but kind of went under the radar and didn't really ultimately affect the outcome of the game. So, yeah. That is my after-tournament report. I did about as well as I expected. I lost the majority of the games, and the ones I did win is because I trigger-sacked like a god. And I have gained a bit of insight for what I want to change. I just haven't really concretely decided on what those changes will be yet. And at the time of this recording, I believe Atlas is 4-2, or 3-2, and then he's going to continue playing until he gets his third loss. So, probably have just waited so he was actually done to start recording this, but I kind of want to get this done as quickly as possible while the tournament is still fresh in my mind. So Atlas was doing better than me, although he was also using a better deck than me. There were some I was kind of rooting for that one of the two Eugene guys just because big memes there. And I believe last time I checked, the Orphis player I had played against during the first round was X and 0, so if he continues doing good and manages to top, I'd actually be pleasantly surprised by that, simply because we kept dumping on Orphis throughout the podcast, and we gotta maintain our reputation for being wrong, so yeah. We'll see what happens. I'll probably add some amendments to my video, or Atlas can talk about it when he does his report. Probably just pin a comment at the top with all of the actual results, so that this video can at least be vaguely informational. And I think that's going to be it for this after-tournament report. Maybe I'll do a modified deck profile later on once I figure out all the changes I want to make to Hexa Orb. And then probably also going to do a losers bracket where Atlas and I face off with Magnolia and Hexa Orb just for funsies. So still got some fight videos in the backlog that should be coming out in the coming weeks. Atlas will be doing his after tournament report sometime on Monday. That'll probably come out later in the week too. There's going to be the roundup on Monday, and then podcast on Wednesday as usual, so thank you for watching, everybody. If you liked what you see, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Did you participate during the Springfest tournament? This was during the Asia-Oceania bracket, for the record, because I wasn't paying attention and signed up for the wrong bracket. If you were there, how did you do? Did you run into me? And thank you to our $10 patrons, Darren, Cole, and Josh. If you would like to donate to our Patreon, the link will be in the description. $5 will get you a whole ass bonus show, and $10 will get you early access to certain non-news videos, so like fight videos, unboxings, deck profiles. Since this is a kind of a tournament report video, I think this is just gonna come out right away for everybody. So news content is usually things I just label as urgent. So any kind of reaction video and stuff will usually just go out publicly to everyone. And I believe that is it. If you want to follow us on social media, our Twitter is @Nexus at Night. I am at Plasma Eclipse. You can find Atlas at Atlas Novak and Matt at Wiggums 2Gs 2Zs. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.